Hey folks, Tim Newman with Lite Studios, bringing you another installment in our daily assignments series. This installment today is our first image critique, and I'm really excited to be bringing this to you because it means people are looking at the videos, they're doing the assignments, and they're uploading images for us to take a look at. Now, the numbers aren't anywhere near where they need to be, but they're there and they're starting to grow, which is super exciting. And I hope you guys will get more involved in this as it goes forward, and we'll have more and more images to look at when we do this critique. So this is our very first image critique. It's going to cover the dates from July 1st through July 15th as folders out there that we are looking at. And in general, I believe that critiques should offer both the reinforcement of the skills that are being observed and some constructive criticism at the same time. And what I will tell you about critiques is I think as the photographer, you need to leave your ego at the door when people are talking about your images, and you need to disconnect yourself with the subject of the image if you have any relationship to it at all. It's your son, your daughter, your car, your house, your cat, dog, whatever. And you need to forget about the investment in time and energy that you put into the image. We're really taking a look at the elements of design, the rules of composition, and how all of those components are coming together, and does the image meet or not meet the criteria set out in the assignment. That's really it. We have a very objective perspective on this, whereas the photographer usually has a subjective perspective on this, and that's something I would encourage you to let go so that you can learn and grow as a shooter. All right. Assignment number one that we have an image for is the line of architecture. Should have said lines of architecture, but that's fine. You know what I mean. And in this assignment, you are to focus on the leading lines of architecture. And what we said is it's not hard finding lines in architecture, but in this sign, we want to make the lines of architecture lead you somewhere, ideally further into the architecture itself. So let's take a look at the image that was submitted here. I think this is a pretty good image from a number of points of view. I like the perspective leaning away from the viewer. It gives a sense of height and scale to the scene. And I think the tonality here is pretty well managed. I don't see anything that's particularly overly dark or anything that's overly bright. I think we have a nice range from black to white in this image. So I like that part of it. I like all of the platforms or edging, if you will, kind of meeting in the center. I think that does a good job. And so generally, I think it met the assignment pretty well. Now, one of the struggles that we have as photographers is when you go out on a specific day, the weather is what the weather is. And I'm sure that when I say this, the photographer that took this will undoubtedly agree. Would have been amazing with great cloud cover in the background and clouds streaking through the scenes. You know, we teach workshops here at Lite Studios, and we take a lot of people out onto location, and there's just nothing you can do when you get a day like this. So that part could have solidified the top part of the image. On the other hand, one could argue that the starkness in the sky really sets the building off quite well. So not really a knock, just an observation of possibilities there. But really, thanks for submitting this image. I appreciate it being out here, and I think it's a good example of meeting the requirements of the assignment. Let's take a look at image number 2 that we are going to look at today, and it is from our Monochromes assignment. And in that assignment, we said, let's spend some time thinking about color, and in this case, monochromatic color. So the task was to go out and find scenes where the scene was basically all one color in that scene, albeit different shades of that color. And here's our image that was submitted for that. And I think this nails the Monochromes assignment right on the head. No question about it. I really love the monochromes in this. I love the backlight to it. It gives some mystery to various areas of the fabric, and it makes you want to kind of explore a little deeper into it. I think the patchwork lines in the image work really well. And I think there's a pretty good nod to the rule of thirds here. And it's not exact rule of thirds, but then if you look at my work, I don't shoot exact rule of thirds either. I kind of look for the divisions in the frame where they're obvious and center them up as I can. I think that the use of depth of field here is really great, and it definitely takes the viewer and centers them right into the frame, which is really great. It gives them a focal point to focus on. So don't really have any other comments on this image in terms of improvements. I think it's a great image the way it is. And again, for the person who submitted this, thank you very much for participating. We really appreciate it. Image number 3, Seeing Red. And in this assignment, it was pick a color, any color, as long as it's red. And I don't know if you got the reference on that image, but Henry Ford, when he made the Model T, said, pick a color, any color, in terms of ordering cars from him, as long as it's black. That was kind of the joke of the day. So that was a little nod to Henry Ford there. Make sure you capture a collection of red images and show us your best ones. Most likely you will turn in more than one. Let's see how you do with this hot color. So here's our sample image that was turned in here, or our image that was submitted. I shouldn't say sample image, but this is the image that was sent in to us. And I think this is really great. It clearly focuses on the red. There's no doubt about it. And I love the way that this is used as a frame for the subject looking through the chair. I think this is really an ideal placement. You know, we always talk about the rule of thirds and placing the subject of interest at an intersecting line. That's not what's happening here. This is that middle line focus. But if you've watched any of the daily assignment sample images that have happened over the last couple of weeks, middle line focus is something that we use a lot when we're breaking the rule of thirds. And I think this is an effective way to break the rule of thirds, no doubt about it. I think the red against the green makes for a great complement. And then the rest of these tones in the image are earth tones, and they work really well. There is one piece of, one change that I would look at here that I think would make a lot of sense. It looks to me like there's a water fountain or a fire pit in the background. And for a little movement in the chair, that fire pit or that water fountain could have been centered up directly behind this chair. And I think there might even be a walkway behind that. So the alignment of the three could have been a simple move to make that happen. And it would have really reinforced the geometry of the image that the photographer worked hard to put in here. Also, I think there is in the upper right-hand corner another red chair like this. I would have moved that out of the scene. It would have had some really great symmetry added in just by those two simple moves. I like the image the way it is, but those little touches, the things that are hard to see and to recognize in the field, are just that extra mile that brings the image home. So again, thanks for uploading this to us. I think you did a really great job in capturing this scene. I love the picture, and just throw those thoughts in the back of your mind next time you're out shooting. Image number 4, take a moment to reflect. And reflection photography can mean any number of things, but in this case, we're really talking about mirroring some portion of the image. So we were sending people out to look for reflections in their surroundings and capture those mirrored moments, all right? And here's the image that we're taking a look at today. This is a great reflection image. I think it does a super good job here of capturing reflection in the scene. And this is not the easiest scene to capture because it's a blue hour scene, so clearly some effort was taken to manage exposure here. If I had to guess, I would think the photographer probably did a little exposure compensation here to keep this under control. Reflections in water aren't always the easiest things to get. The little puff of wind or a duck landing on the water changes reflection entirely. It all becomes a ripple, and obviously they either caught the right night or they waited for the right moment on this one, so I applaud that. Two thoughts that I would add here as just additional solidifying approaches to this image. One is the amount of blue above the top of the building. I would make that the same amount of blue as below the building in this reflection. So just from a symmetry point of view, this image is occupying the same amount of negative space versus positive space top to bottom. Easy thing to fix here with a crop, and you got plenty of room on the left and right to do that. So that's even a post-production edit that would work really well. The other thing is the building and the horizon line are canted just a little to the left. In Lightroom or in Photoshop, lots of tools to square that up. And while it's subtle and a lot of viewers wouldn't notice it, the change solidifies the image in a way that's almost subconscious and attracts viewers a little more strongly to your image. So consider that. But again, great reflection shot. Thanks for submitting this. Really appreciate your effort on that. And let's take a look at our last image, image number 5. And this is take a moment to reflect. And reflection in photography can mean any number of things, but in this case, we're truly talking about mirroring some portion of the image. Is this kind of like deja vu to you? Because I'm picking 2 images from the same assignment here. So I'm kind of saying the same things, but that was the assignment here. And we got 2 images in this folder that I thought were compelling, so I wanted to include them both. Now, I'm just taking a guess here, mostly because of the watermark. I think this picture is from John Reed from Colorado. Hey, John, haven't seen you in a while. Looking forward to catching up soon. John loves to be out in nature. That's his gig, and he goes out and shoots a lot. And I remember at one point in time, John and I were having this discussion about composition, and he said, you know, Tim, you're a trophy hunter, and I'm a duck hunter. And I'm like, well, what the hell does that mean, John? He goes, I just keep shooting at the sky, and every once in a while something falls out. And I think that's absolutely a great approach to it. Plus, there are ducks in this picture, so I don't know if he meant that as underscoring that thought process, but it works, and I think this is pretty cool. I like the reflection in the shot. I love the clouds peeking over the horizon in the background, and of course, you know that I noticed the ducks in there, which I think is pretty cool. I think we've got some pretty good leading lines in here. And I think this is really a great shot, and I'd love to be out there standing next to the lake shooting with John, which I think is going to happen soon. The only thing that I would change here, me personally, and I'd like the shot the way it is, so this is just kind of my take on it. And remember, we all have opinions, and we know what we say about that. I would just have a little more blue in the bottom to give a little more space for those trees on the lower right corner. But solid shot, definitely a place I want to be out shooting soon. Hey, John, thanks for sending this in. Glad that you are keeping an eye on this series. Makes it a lot of fun for me. Well, there you go, folks. There's all of our images in our first critique. We'll be getting our next critique up soon, giving some people some more time to get some images out there. Really love the participation we have so far. So get out there, look at those assignments, shoot some more. Remember, learning equals skills, practice equals mastery. Not only will we see you out there, but we'll see your images in here. Have a good one.